Hello, I'm Bob Penafeather again, talking with Bob. And today, again, we're back with talking with Sue Dwyer. That's the county clerk, and she's over at the DMV. And
The historian's office.
and the records. We're going to get into that. and then we're going to be talking with Shireen Andresco after this, right back to back. And Shireen is responsible for all DMV and works for Sue. The last one we did was about 2 years ago, and out of that show, there was a lot of good information that people commented on. So we're going to expand it a little bit with Sue and Shireen to get an update on everything going on. I won't say post-COVID because we're still in it, but, you know, we're dealing with all the issues. I got to say, personally, that you've done one hell of a job, both of you, because I don't know how you handle, you know, everybody handling COVID and staying home is one thing. Trying to do what you do that is so important to society right here in our area. Kudos to you. I had to come in here last month, and I grabbed the ticket and I sit down, and before I know it, I was up to the one. Matter of fact, I had to call the number because I was sitting there. I'm used to waiting, but I says it ran very, very smooth, you know. And the only thing I've got is Tom Giltner's security, and that's, I don't know, that's a little concern right there. You know, he's a full bubble off center, but I guess he does a pretty good job. But in any event.
And so, you're a good friend to Tom.
Yeah, that's a disclaimer. So it's
well,
good to see you again. Good to see you,
you,
Shireen. You can't see her yet, but you will in a bit. And she'll feed in if we do something wrong here. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Let me start that out first.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time again.
Thanks for giving us this time. We've been through COVID. I feel like now that we know more about COVID, fear isn't such a factor. And I think that was one of the things that kept everything from opening up or people from doing things. But now we have a lot of knowledge about it, so we use that knowledge to our advantage. And speaking about the DMV staff in particular, it says everything about their work ethic and what happened through this whole thing, and Shireen can explain more of that. And she is our supervisor there, the face of the DMV, and so many people know her and appreciate her. I appreciate her. She's at the top of my list, really.
And your employees down there, they're very, very polite.
And they're fun.
And they're informative. I mean, I'd sit down, and of course, I'm Uncle Doofus playing around with the papers and register. What do I need? She reaches everything, gives it all back, pay for it, and I'm gone. I said, people like you make me look good. So, I mean, that's a hell of a compliment, I guess.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the county clerk's offices. I oversee 4 departments, DMV being one of them. The county clerk's recording office, where people go for a lot of things like passports and notaries and things. And then the historian's office, the county historians under my authority. And then and they're over on Court Street, attached to the Records Center, which is, if you're old enough, you'll remember the old jail and the sheriff's office over on Court Street. We're in that building, and we have 3 stories of records from every county, every department in the county. So I am, as county clerk, the records person. I keep all records, maintain records, preserve records, and that is one of my main focuses. We also do 100 other things. If you have to take an oath of office because you're either elected or appointed, that happens in our office, and that's very important for record keeping. People ask for those records all the time. You wouldn't think so, but and also trustees for the college, the library, so they have to come in and take their oath. And then a clerk of the Supreme Court, so all Supreme Court records go through our office and get processed. And I'm happy to say that the courts, we have mandatory e-filing now, so there's no paper involved in those court papers. There's a couple things like divorces and adoptions still out there, but they're all going to be e-recorded, so we're saving a lot of paper, a lot of time, and that's been an awesome thing.
How long has that been?
We went mandatory about a year and a half ago.
Okay, so not been
and we did it before then, but it wasn't mandatory.
Okay.
But during COVID, how perfect for attorneys and people like that, they just sat down in their home or whatever, and they could actually e-file anything.
Yeah.
And then we have land, all the deeds and mortgages and things like that. And a lot of historical documents go the deeds. 1790s, we have deeds. Even before we were Cayuga County, we were Onondaga County, and we have those deeds. So you can imagine we have some historical
Say that again.
deeds.
Before we were Cayuga County.
We were Onondaga County. We were part of Onondaga County, and then it broke off, and we became Cayuga County. Yep. Yep.
Do you know when that took place? I'm not put you on the spot.
1797, I think.
Really?
Something like that.
We were Onondaga County, and then it split off and went to Cayuga
Yeah.
on its own.
Yep.
Huh.
All the counties. There's a whole. If you ever looked up how were all the counties and when did they separate and things like that, you'll see it. It's interesting. And I think Aurora was the first place that became Cayuga County. I'm pretty sure that was.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, the records, how many records do you think? If you had to take a wild estimate, how many records are on file over in that building?
Millions.
And then how many
Easily.
floors? And
There's 3 floors of records. They're filled with shelving. They are coded. So if somebody walked in there, let's say somebody broke into the record center, they would never know how to find. It's like
Wouldn't have
looking
an
for a
idea.
needle in a haystack, because they don't say county clerk's offices, divorces. They have a code. So every county has a code. The beauty of that is it's arranged so when we call over to the record center, we get asked for a record from 1982, and they would get it in 10 minutes. I'd walk over there and I'd get it.
really?
It's amazing. They do a great job over there. And we have a new record center manager, Michael McNeil, and he has a big IT background, which is going to come in handy when we talk about
Sure.
something else here.
Sure.
But then, so we have those 4 departments, 24 staff, and I can't say enough about all of them. They all do very
How
different things.
long will it take to digitize?
So we decided
Is that
about
a
a
word,
year and a
digitize?
half
Can
ago.
I use
Yeah.
that? I'm tech savvy.
Yes,
How'd
he's
that
got
sound?
that word in it. So about a year and a half ago, when Michael McNeil came on, we decided to form a committee to say, what's going to happen when this record center gets filled up? It's 97% filled right now.
Wow.
We knew it was coming. And also, it's not in really good shape. It's an old building, not conducive to preserving records at all. You can't have, when you have a record center, you can't have the sprinklers, because it'll ruin all the papers. So if there was ever a fire, it would be catastrophic. If there was ever water, we did have a couple water problems last year.
Yeah.
And, easily fixed. But if we weren't working at the time, that could be a big problem. So we don't want to wait for a catastrophe for it to happen. And the best thing any county can do at this point is, or any state for that matter, is digitize records. We don't need all this paper around. We have a lot less paper in the county clerk's office because we have scanned and digitized records. We want to do this for the whole county, and we also want to apply for a shared grant, and that will include the town of Owasco if we do get that New York State Archives grant. So we decided to go with an analysis.
That's a good idea, bringing in another town surrounding it.
Yes.
I always say, people say Auburn, I said it's Auburn area,
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of where you
Well,
live, still Auburn area.
When you become a county clerk and you are going door to door in every part of the county, you certainly see a lot of beauty, number one, but you're in awe of the size of everything and where people live and how they live, the water, there's ponds and lakes, and we have a beautiful county. But you're right, some people in Auburn, they never venture out very far. But there is a lot of activity. Look at Sterling. They're going to have that new beautiful Sterling Nature Center. So
Yeah.
just so much beauty in nature.
In
We're
my
very
traveling,
lucky to have it.
over the years of traveling, as I've said many times, I always tell people, I says, Dave, where are you from? I says, I always said Syracuse, nobody knows where Auburn
Yeah.
is, And they say, oh, Syracuse, how long you been there? I tell them, why? Why you live in I'll tell you what, I live in one of the best parts of the country, hands down.
Yeah.
And then I have to wait for them to quit laughing and joking around about snow in Buffalo. And I says, hey, listen, I'll tell you what, from where I live, within 7 hours, I can be from Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, Portland, Maine, Toronto, Montreal, Cleveland, Ohio. I says, in driving distance. I don't have to get on a plane.
You can swim in a lot of different lakes in 7
And I
hours
says,
right
and
here.
let me tell you, and all the lakes, the beauty.
Yeah.
Look at the wineries that have popped up. I
Now
mean,
you got my attention, right there. The wineries.
okay, we'll be back after we have a glass of wine. But I mean, really, I says, and the beauty is absolutely good, and the people are great. They really are.
Yeah.
And so, no, I didn't realize that. I saw Finger Lakes area is a very pretty area,
It is.
no question. Now on the recording and doing the digital, and you're doing with a Wasco. Have you gone and seen other areas? I'm sure you've done your homework on this.
Right, so we have been in touch. I am very, always in touch with the network of New York State County Clerks.
You're on a
very
board or
active
something? Are
in
you
that.
still on a board?
Very active. I'm on the legislative committee. Shireen and I sit on the state committee for Donate Life, for organ donation. I am,
Wow.
I have to do the audit. I have to approve the audit and present it to all the state county clerks. So there's lots of things. I've been county
Yeah.
clerk for almost 18 years now, in
What a
January
great
of
background.
18. And so, you know, I am aware that especially Tompkins County was really the trailblazer. Maureen over in Tompkins County, 11 years ago, she was faced with a very old record center. They weren't going to be able to salvage it, and it was full. So she said, we can either spend $3 million, and that was back then, or we can get rid of paper. And that is how she became, and she came to all the county clerks at a conference and said what she was doing, and some of them were like, you're what? You're
Yeah.
destroying paper?
I
And,
can imagine. Yeah.
so anyway, she has come over here. I have gone over there. Michael McNeil accompanied me. And then she did a presentation for some of the legislature. So they knew exactly what was going on here and how she's done it. Every year she's gotten a grant to do more and more. She has actually done the city, the county, the schools, all the towns and villages in Tompkins County.
Isn't that
She's
great?
done that.
Jeez. Now, how long would it take you to do all the records over here?
So it's going to be a 4 to 5 year phased-in project. So every year we'll be getting hopefully a grant, but also we are going after 1.5 million of the American Rescue Recovery Funds, whatever that's called. The federal government gave it to the county,
Right.
and we have applied for that to kickstart this project. There's certainly, if we keep going like that every year and get a certain amount of money, eventually we'll be needing nothing, by the way. We won't have any paper over there. I can move the record center and the historian's office right in my office on the first floor of the county office building. Shireen and DMV would be right across the hall. And that saves, that building could be sold or utilized for something else.
Whatever.
So it's really important when the county legislature is doing a study of building needs, that they realize that if this project goes, not only all our filing cabinets, but the rest of the building, the sheriff's office, all those places will need a reduced space to operate. And it's easy access to records. Anybody can call up and get a record. Boop, send it, email, whatever, you got the record. So when you're talking about the digital divide with people, it's an easy way for people to get records no matter what is going on. It's a proven way to do it too. So saving money, saving space, and either they do it and they agree to it, or they're gonna have to deal with that in 2 or 3 years when that building is no longer viable. And it will be
what
full,
happens?
it'll be full.
And then what happens?
Pay now or pay later.
Yeah,
My mother
exactly.
always said that.
Well, you know something we talked about before the show here, that if you wait on projects like this, with the grants that are out there and the situation other towns and cities are in, they're going to be looking at the same thing, doing the same thing at the same time.
That's
So
right.
if you're using a third party, which I'm sure you're probably using a third party company or helping you along.
Yeah, you have to do that for scanning, because, you know, I don't know if any of you scan things. You scan things, it's simple, right?
Right.
You have to scan all of these records so they're searchable. That's different than just,
Yes,
you
right.
know, like that. So, yes, we have companies that have done it. We have rated them. We have done so much work. We meet weekly. So John Bohall, Don Wolf, Michael McNeil, myself, and IT. We have a new IT person, Tom Bunn. He's fabulous. He's supportive of this. He hasn't yet been attacked and been in our meetings, but he's been great. He said, oh, I'm so glad you're doing this because this is what needs to be done all over, not just this county.
Well, that's what I was saying, is if it's all over and they get the grants and they all start doing it at the same time,
There's only a finite
you know,
amount of grant
and
money.
it's going to start pushing the lead time back
Right.
when you'll be able to get the project done.
And it's interesting because we provide the money for those grants. So every county clerk records and files documents. And a portion of that money, every month, we have to, we send some upstairs to the treasurer's office, millions of dollars, by the way. And then we send it to Centro. We send it to New York State Department of Education. That's the grants. And we go New York State Department of Taxation. But the money comes from the county clerk's offices. So, but they are grants that can go to fire departments and schools and libraries. So lots of other people can apply for these grants, towns and villages.
Wow.
And the towns and villages here, the town clerks especially, they're very interested in this because they want help too. Some of their records are in places that they shouldn't be stored in. So
I mean, that's really, I never realized how detailed, you know, you just go look for records and you walk in the front counter and say, I need my record for whatever property transfer, whatever it is, and somebody runs and gets it and brings it back. And again, I'm Uncle Doofus. I don't know, there are people, 100 people in the background going, what's the idiot want? You know, and then they come up with a piece of paper within minutes. I mean, that's.
And a lot of people that are, you know, they have history in mind. They think, oh, don't tell me you're going to destroy those special deeds from, you know, Seward and Tubman and all this. No, there are records that will always be kept because they have intrinsic value. So we want to make sure we keep those, but we are also going to scan them and make sure that we have a backup. Some records have a backup right now and some don't. Those are really important. We get a lot of people coming in. Whenever anything happened out at the Tubman House, they have come to our office to do the research.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things. And when they did the national park, and we have documents from that. So there's all the documents, land documents as well. And we do e-record land documents too. So lots of scanning, and we have boxes and boxes sent over to the record center that they're shredding because we have permission to do that. But not, you know, we never destroy those old important documents, and we'll have to sit down and say which ones do we really need to save and which ones don't we need to save.
Right.
So that's part of this project.
I got to ask another thing. We brought it up in our last visit, passports.
Oh, yeah.
And passports, now that they opened up the Canadian border, is passport still good for 10 years?
Passport's good for 10 years, and
So
unless
anybody has
you're,
a passport for the last 5 years, even though the border was closed, they open it back up, the passport's still the best document you can have, bar none.
bar none, if you want to leave the country, if you think you're ever going to leave the country, you're better off getting a passport than an enhanced driver's license. If you're a soccer mom or dad and you got to go to Canada a lot, enhanced driver's license is the way to go. It's so great. You could have a passport and that, I do. But if you're going over a border, a Mexico border too, continuously, it's so easy just to have that on your license.
Yeah.
But they were making it that you needed the real ID, which is the enhanced. They were making that so you would have had to have it to fly domestically within our country by a certain date. They've extended that to 2023 now. And, you know, I don't know if they're ever going to approve it. I really don't. But that's a passport. You're safe with the passport.
It's still the best thing to use out of all the
And
documents.
the passport, when we opened that up again, it was 22 weeks that it took for a passport. So now they kept going down and down and down. Now it's up to 11 weeks. That's routine processing. If you want to expedite it a bit, you pay an extra $60, and then it's going to take up to 8 weeks. So that's not too bad. But we had a lot of people just thinking they were just going to get a passport, and
Walk in, get your
a
picture
lot of
taken,
kids,
and walk out.
a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But if you're under 16, then you get a 5-year passport. So
Is there anything on a passport, or do you foresee the future of a passport that there's so many things about shots, vaccinations, that's going to be included on a passport?
well, passports are a federal document, so whatever is going to change, it'd have to change for the country. That's why you don't see a lot of changes in passports.
Yeah.
You know, there's very seldom, it's very hard to change something for the whole country. But the state, they change often. You know, there's always changes at the DMV that Shireen has to keep up with. They send us, oh my gosh, so many things. And they do weird things, like when they had the new license plates, for instance, they sent them all to every county clerk and all the DMV offices, and then they asked for them back. We said, why do you need them back? Well, we knew there was some problem, but I don't think that they wanted to admit it. But anyway, what happened was, you know how they have the new readers? You don't have anybody on the throughway anymore?
Right.
Apparently somebody forgot to check if they could scan them right, and so they went through and
They couldn't scan the plates.
So they took them all back. I don't know if they ever admitted it. I'm not going to look over at Shireen
Jesus,
for
I'll
that
tell you,
because
but that's,
I'm the agent of the state DMV.
No,
so-
Shireen, come back. She just left.
She just-
But
but I mean, you just think, you know, that's a lot of money. And then the peeling plates issue.
Oh,
and
my
then,
Lord.
So, you know, but
Oh,
we
my
have
God,
to
I
do.
got that question for you, Shireen,
And,
too.
you know,
yeah.
their IT, we have to use their system, and their IT system, they go down on a busy day, like the day before we're open for Thanksgiving, and we have to tell people, I'm so sorry, and the best is they never have an ETA, so we don't know when they're going up. Could be 5 minutes, could be, but you know, the DMV will call people, they'll try to help them, but you know, you leave there thinking, they're down again, but it's the state, the entire state is down. And if they were a business, they'd be out of business.
Be out of business, yeah.
But they can do it because they're a state organization.
What about TSA? You don't get involved with the TSA documentation of anything?
I'm looking at Sharita for the
The
she
TSA
said no.
for airlines and that, you don't get involved
no,
with any
no.
of that stuff?
No.
Because you got TSA offices, you got to
That
still go for that,
is
for if you're flying.
Homeland Security, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they would ever incorporate that into,
You know what I think?
you know,
I
under your
think the
function or Shireen's, you know?
I think the function of DMV is going to come down to, and the same as us for passports, we have to see a person in front of us, and they have to prove who they are, whether it's a child. So a lot of people say, I'm going to get passports for my kids, but my husband and I will be in tomorrow, and I'll say, well, what about your kids? No, we're not going to bring the kids. They have to bring the kids.
Yeah.
First of all, we have to see the relationship between them. If they act like strangers, there's a problem. But, you know, we have to make sure, we have to take their pictures, we have to see everything all together. It's quite a process, and it should be. It's the best ID
Now,
document
if they
ever.
come in with their children,
Yeah,
because they're going to Europe or whatever.
yep,
They have to bring their birth certificates and.
yep. Their birth certificates, and the parents have to bring their ID, which is usually a driver's license.
Right.
And we have to make sure those parents' names are on there. Sometimes there's only one parent's name on a birth certificate, and that's fine. There's so many details, and we get recertified every year. We get audited by the U.S. Department of State, and we do great, you know. But my whole staff in the county clerk's recording office, all of us do passports except for one, and we're all notaries as well. So when people come in and need a notary, we do that, and it's a
Right.
free service for the county.
Right.
And we also renew notaries. So we do a lot of all that. People don't realize that we do all that there too.
I think passports are going to be a question now, especially if we've been through this COVID for the last couple of years.
We're very busy with passports.
And it's never going to end now. I mean, this thing's,
Yeah.
I think it's gone, not that I'm a doctor, but,
Yeah,
you know, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
No.
And we can see what's happening with masks and everything else.
yeah.
And incidentally, when you walk in this building, it's mandatory you have a mask on. That's very important for everybody to understand. You come into the county building, it's mandatory to have a mask.
And we have a lot of masks down there.
So.
None of them are
That
used.
is mandatory.
We don't recycle those.
Unlike a lot of, they're what, they're used?
We don't recycle those, no. We're into recycling, but not masks. We
Where'd
give
get
you a
that mask?
brand
I got
new
it out of the
mask.
waste paper basket. I got. Good, that's healthy. But saves money though. You know, but no, I think things like this, I think the passport is going to be ongoing, very important because of
Yes.
what we've been through. And
Yeah.
people starting to travel more now. We've seen that over Thanksgiving according to all the reports.
Lots of people are traveling. I'm going to
Yeah.
travel, but I'm never going to travel on a holiday ever again.
Oh my
because-
God, that's terrible. I've
Yeah,
done that for years and
nuts.
that's terrible. Going over the border, though, with them just opening up Canada.
I'm glad they're opened
I
up.
can see, well, sure, I could
Yeah.
never, you know, they talk about border control, I don't want to get into politics, obviously,
Yeah.
but,
The Canadian
you know, they
border?
sit down south and see what's going on the borders. You know, Canada shut theirs down a long time ago.
Yeah.
Never hear about it in the news. You
Right.
just can't go over.
Yeah, you
period.
can't. And you know, I know some Canadian people, and they did not have the advantage of having as many shots as many
Yeah.
vaccines as we did. And so I didn't realize that until I talked to them. I thought, oh, why aren't they vaccinated?
Yeah.
But boy,
Yeah.
talk about getting a wake-up call, right?
Yeah.
Really.
There's another question on that. I'm glad that came up. The vaccination card,
Mm-hmm.
is that needed anywhere? Whether in your department,
Again, that's
DMV, or
Homeland
yours, or is that,
Security and border and everything. That's not us.
doesn't
so
have anything to do with passport or nothing like, well, it wouldn't.
No.
I just asked that question.
they might, like today, I heard on the news.
My retention's very good. Go ahead.
Today I heard on the news that they were going to, kids were going to need them, and it depends where you go.
Yeah.
In some countries will be shut down again. They will be. So there's a lot of unused
Yeah.
plane tickets out there, right?
I guess the bottom line is anything that you want to know about passports, documentations, you know, call Sue's department.
Yeah, I'll
They're-
give you my
they're-
number right
They're
out here.
extremely, and we'll put the number
Yeah,
at the bottom of the screen
great.
for, you know, and at the bottom is a tagline. But it's very important that if you have a question, instead of knocking yourself out playing the guessing game, call Sue's department. And
Right.
they'll be more than helpful to give you direction and give you the correct information you need, whether it be passports or documents or whatever. Am I right in saying that?
You are. I've got to mention one thing.
I'm glad you said that, so I didn't look like an idiot.
No, you got it right on the button. One thing is we do require an appointment just for passports, but if you're renewing and you just need a photo, you don't need that appointment. And oftentimes, if you walk in and someone else doesn't already have an appointment, we'll just take you, but there
Okay.
is something on our website.
Good.
So about that.
Is there anything we missed or didn't cover? Or?
Just that, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Hey,
and
listen, same to you and all your
yes,
people. I'll
thank
tell you
you.
the truth, you really got a great department.
I do, I'm very
You
fortunate.
really, from multiple views, I mean, it's really, you know, they're very polite, you know, they're very presentable, which is great to see. You know, a please and a thank you is always nice to hear, you know, as we all experience the lack of many times.
They know their stuff.
Yeah,
That says it all right there.
that's,
And
that's
they-
exactly
They're
right.
very devoted to their work. They actually like their jobs, and most days we have really good time. And they're my work family. You know, I have my home family and I have my work family, and I'm 18 years of it, and I appreciate every one of them. So
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks again for your time,
you're welcome.
for all the information. The county clerk's office, unbelievable information, and I hope you got some good information out of this conversation with Sue. And next, we're going to go to DMV. Stay tuned.